Good morning, friends. I'm Betsy Cazden. I'm from Providence Meeting. And we thought before we go through how to put things into the archives, we would spend a minute to start at the other end, which is once you put things in the archives, how do you get them out again, or how do you get access to them? And this also will be a little bit of an overview of how our archives are kept and organized. I'm going to do a screen share here, hopefully. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is, why might you need old records? What's SCUA? How do you find records? And then how do you actually get to see them? So hopefully that will work. The first piece is why you need old records. And I think the breakout groups probably covered some of this, but I wondered if people might just want to put in the chat really quickly the kinds of questions that back records are needed for. I can think of about 5 in my meeting. So just feel free to put those into the chat. I'll pause for a minute here so you can do that. Okay, seeing a lot of good things. Membership, memorial minutes, past decisions of the meeting on various issues. Alignment or lack of alignment between testimonies and outward actions. Being honest about the past. Financial records, definitely important. Also restrictions on trust funds and things like that, if you're a meeting that has those things. Okay. You can keep putting things in there. So when you have one of those questions, how do you actually find and get to the records that you need? I'm going to go through a lot of detail. You do not need to scribble it all down because we will send this out to you after this session. We'll send you a link so that you can review it. All right, what's SCUA? Since 2016, the New England Yearly Meeting records have been housed at the W.E.B. Du Bois Library at the University of Massachusetts Amherst in their special collections and university archives, which we always call SCUA, S-C-U-A. Before that, the records were at the Rhode Island Historical Society for many years. And before that, they were at Moses Brown School. You still see footnotes in old books referring to them being at Moses Brown. And many of them were hiding in the attic of a recording clerk. Some still are, we suspect. Some of them are microfilmed. That was done in about 1951, and the quality varies. There are, for those of you in Rhode Island, the Rhode Island minutes microfilm is still at Rhode Island Historical Society. I use it regularly. Some meetings do not have their records incorporated into the yearly meeting archives. They're in other repositories, and some of you already know that that's where your meetings records are. The Yearly Meeting Archives Committee knows about those, but we don't take care of them. We don't have the ability to take care of them. We're hoping to do more interfacing with those other repositories. But I'll be talking here mostly about SCUA. There are a couple of tools for finding out what's actually there. And both of these are linked off of the website for the Archives and Historical Records Committee. This is on the yearly meeting website. So this is our main page, and then you go to the, to where it says start here. And that will bring you to links to the SCUA website and also to the guide to New England Archives, which I'll talk about in a minute. So the guide is a physical book, but it has been made into a PDF, which we link to. It was done in 1997 by Rick Statler, who was then our archivist at Rhode Island Historical Society. And it's really very thorough. It has a history of the meetings. It has which worship groups and preparative meetings were under which monthly meeting, which was under which quarterly meeting. So it's really crucial for tracking meetings. So this is the page. I've been working on the history of the meeting house in Little Compton, Rhode Island, which was rebuilt after a hurricane in 1815. So if you go to the Guide to Quaker Records in the PDF and you use the search function, you discover that Little Compton meeting at that time was part of Westport monthly meeting. This shows you what records of Westport are in the yearly meeting archives. Now, where it says Rhode Island, that meant Rhode Island Historical Society, and now translates as SCUA. So the men's minutes are there. I know from a lot of work that the property and money stuff is only in the men's minutes. That's the way they did it. And ooh, we've got a treasurer's book. That's going to be interesting. If I had searched on Little Compton, this would also come up. This is the great piece of working with a PDF rather than a book. The limitation of this guide is that it was done in 1997 and obviously hasn't been updated. So anything since 1997 isn't here. Also, it obviously predates the era of electronic record keeping and digital photographs and videos, and so you won't see any of those. This is all paper. Now, a number of you are asking in the chat, what about the records that are not at SCUA? This guide will tell you that. So this is Nantucket meeting. And you will notice in the column under location, it says NA. That's Nantucket Historical Society. MH is Maine Historical Society. I forget what they use for Newport Historical Society. So this guide is the place for figuring out which records are in SCUA and which ones are somewhere else. Very useful, and one reason why I tend to turn to this first, also because I'm old and I'm used to using books. All right, the second tool is the online finding aid at SCUA. And again, there's a link to this from the Archives Committee webpage, or you can go directly to the SCUA website, scua.library.umass.edu. The finding aid is very detailed. That means it takes a bit to get used to, finding your way around in it. It includes a lot of background, that some of which was picked up from the guide. And it also includes a lot of detail. So this is yearly meeting records, and you can see it's got volumes of minutes. And if you scroll down through this, there's a lot of miscellany. I discovered, by the way, didn't know this was here. There's a archival box, several archival boxes with a file folder for each meeting with clippings, notes. Some of them go back into the 18th century, photographs of meeting houses. Who knew that it was there? So you might want to browse some of this. When you are looking, so this is yearly meeting records, including permanent board, committees, and so on. If you are looking for monthly meeting records, the access route is through the SCUA homepage, which looks like this. And you simply type in the name of your meeting into the search box and it'll pop up. I also discovered when I was working last week, you can use Wilburites as a search term. And those are separate, and that will pull them up. So for my Westport search, I typed in Westport and it pulled up these two records. You will notice there are two Westport monthly meetings, right? Because they divided in 1845. And I needed, for other parts of my work, I needed to look at both of them, which I was able to do. So if you're searching your meeting between 1845 and 1945, you need to pay attention to which one you're looking at. And this page gives you the call number for that meeting, which will help the staff locate what you're looking for. If you click on the finding aid, I don't know if you can read that small on the upper right-hand corner, it pulls up a detailed list of what's available for that meeting, similar to what's in the guide, with box numbers and folder numbers and all of that. So once you've figured out what is actually there that answers your question or that might answer your question, how do you actually get it? If you're looking for something very specific and you have a pretty good idea of where it's likely to be, we need the minute from either February or March 1979 approving, authorizing the treasurer to accept earmarked donations for X. Okay. If you have something like that, the SCUA staff is happy to, they've been very good even during COVID at scanning and emailing you a copy. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for or where it's going to be, your best bet is to have somebody actually go there. I don't know how much they're willing to poke around and hunt for something. Unfortunately, special collections is only open on weekdays, during the day, during the week. So that limits who can go hang out there. They do appreciate it if you are going to go, that you call or email them ahead of time. Tell them what you're looking for, when you're going to be there, and then they can pull things for you in advance. They're very helpful, the staff there. So this is off their, again, off of their website. If you go to the research tab, there's an Ask an Archivist and then a contact form, and this scrolls down to not only your name, but your contact information and your question, and they respond pretty quickly to that. When you go there, you definitely can take your cell phone and take photographs of what's there. I think they probably will also scan them for you if you prefer that. You can take computers and copy things, all the usual archives thing. So I did that last week, spent a couple of days there, and it was absolutely glorious. And there's that Westport Meeting Treasurer's book with its neat little label that I think that's Sarah Jane Foster's handwriting, past yearly meeting archivist. And here's my cash paid to various people for various things for rebuilding the Little Compton Meeting House. Search rewarded.